Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening.
Die een meisietjie het op haar sy gelê en ek kan nie haar uit my kop uit kry nie want ek kon haar nie help nie en alhoewel sy gevra het vir hulp.
Hoërskool Driehoek pupils are not going to class. They're going to counselling, grieving for the 4 pupils who died last week when a walkway collapsed. As the inquiry into 2 top NPA bosses continues, General Johan Boysen says he was targeted because he was investigating the former president's son. And Parliament tries to get to the bottom of the December Clifton Beach controversy. Apartheid beach segregation reloaded, or a storm in a teacup? Well, we start in Vanderbijl Park, and pupils arrived at Hoërskool Driehoek this morning, not to attend class, but to try and come to terms with the horrific accident that has now claimed 4 young lives. The pupils who witnessed the collapse of the walkway on Friday morning are sharing their traumatic stories. For now, this place of learning has become a place of mourning. And as Yanka Tolme reports, there are grave concerns for the more than 20 children still in hospital.
Pupils trying to comfort one another following the deadly tragedy. The school and surrounding community are still reeling.
Die een meisietjie het op haar sy gelê en ek kan nie haar uit my kop uit kry nie want ek kon haar nie help nie en alhoewel sy gevra het vir hulp. Ek was hartseer, ek was geskok.
But the physical wounds run even deeper. About 20 children are still recovering in hospital, many with critical and serious injuries.
We need to be honest. I mean, we're talking severe injuries here. We're talking, learners that landed in ICU, all of them. Some, went through surgery the day they, arrived at the hospital.
The families of the injured have been posting updates on social media. It's understood a grade 9 pupil is paralyzed from her arms down. Others had to undergo major surgery. With broken ribs, pelvic bones and serious back and internal injuries, their road to recovery is likely to be long. Others will have to go back to school soon without the presence of their classmates and friends. Yanka Tolme, Vanderbijl Park.
We move now to the Mokoro inquiry, probing former NPA advocates Nomgcobo Jiba and Lawrence Mrwebe. The hearings are shining a light on possible political interference at the National Prosecuting Authority and may ultimately provide answers as to why corruption and state capture went unchecked. Now today, former KwaZulu-Natal Hawks boss Johan Boysen told the inquiry he was pushed out because he was investigating the business interests of Jacob Zuma's son. Boysen, as you may remember, was charged with racketeering and accused of orchestrating a police hit squad in KwaZulu-Natal, accusations that were ultimately found to be baseless. Now, he believes it was all created to stop him probing Edward Zuma. Govan Whittles has the details.
Johan Boysen is claiming Edward Zuma panicked after a 15 million rand payment from the SAPS to businessman Thorsten Pandey was halted.
While after we had exchanged greetings, he indicated to me that there's an issue he had to discuss with me, and it related to the 15 million rand which I'd frozen. So I said to him, well, what's your interest in this matter? And he indicated to me that he was a silent partner of Thorsten Pandey and that he was not getting his dividends because I'd frozen the money and he would like me to release the money.
Boysen says he became suspicious when he received information about a conversation between Pandey and former President Jacob Zuma's nephew, Debo Mzobe.
During this discussion, I will not repeat the exact words because they were not very nice words about me. I was being called a mafia leader, and they decided there and then, in the words that Debo Mzobe used, is Boysen's wings will be clipped.
His testimony is meant to reveal how suspended Deputy Prosecutions boss Nomgcobo Jiba interfered in the case. Jiba's lawyers are arguing Boysen's testimony isn't providing any value.
What was the point of all that other than to provide some good theatre here for the media and for others.
Boyson's also detailing how Jiba instituted racketeering and murder charges against him, despite him not being implicated in witness statements. But her advocate says Jiba was within her rights to prosecute him. Govan Whittles, Centurion.
The Clifton Beach incident that took place in December last year is now being probed by Parliament. The decision by a private security company to clear people off the beach 2 days before Christmas has sharply divided the city. Now, some say it's a clear example that apartheid beach policies are alive and well. Others say the whole incident has been turned into a political football and race has nothing to do with it. Now, the incident led to a group of people slaughtering a sheep on the beach a few days later, which caused further arguments. Atiam Tongana was in Parliament today as the probe got underway.
Cape Town residents out in full force following the removal of people who were told Clifton Beach was closing at 8 p.m. It led to massive protests, with many saying it was an attempt to keep black people out of this upmarket suburb.
The incident was generally portrayed as a racially motivated act against certain groups of people. However, we were all asked to leave. The racism was embedded in the structural inequalities perpetuated by the actions of the security company upon the instruction of ratepayers and, I would say, known to the City of Cape Town.
Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Environmental Affairs is probing the matter. PPA allegedly told the revellers they were acting on behalf of the city.
At no point has it been or will it ever be policy of the City of Cape Town to restrict access to any member of the public, regardless of race, sex or creed.
Who appointed you?
Our clients from Fourth Beach, some of the residents there, and also then with reference to Camps Bay, some private business owners.
Community policing forum groups in the area say they had nothing to do with PPA and that the issue has been turned into a political football ahead of the elections. Many also say it's apartheid spatial planning that has come back to bite Cape Town authorities. Atiam Tongana, Cape Town.
Other news making local headlines now. Affleck Fontaine murder-accused Fita Coupe has been denied bail. Now, he's one of 2 suspects who've been accused of killing 7 family members in October last year. Coupe's co-accused, Vusi Mabaso, allegedly committed suicide in prison last month. Supporters of Shepherd Bushiri are accusing the state of targeting the self-proclaimed prophet and his wife. Now, they believe charges have been concocted to discredit Bushiri. The enlightened Christian gathering leader and his wife appeared briefly in the Specialised Commercial Crimes Court in Pretoria today. They're facing charges of fraud and money laundering. The pair remains in police custody after their case was postponed until Wednesday. The rape trial of Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotosho has been postponed to the 16th of April. Omotosho and his co-accused appeared briefly in the Port Elizabeth High Court today. The Supreme Court of Appeal dismissed Omotosho's application for Judge Mandela Makaula to be recused in December. A state advocate has now asked for the postponement as the pastor now wants to take the recusal matter to the Constitutional Court. Some potentially good news on the foot and mouth disease outbreak amongst cattle in Limpopo. Trade restrictions are now being relaxed somewhat. Last month, the virus was identified among livestock in the Vembe district in Limpopo. This resulted in a provincial ban on meat exports from South Africa to neighbouring countries. The virus is extremely contagious and affects livestock such as pigs, cattle and sheep. Limpopo officials are partnering with police to restrict the movement of animals in affected areas. 10,000 cattle have now been vaccinated in surrounding villages. The animals can be sold. Their meat is fit for human consumption. The agricultural minister says successful intervention to control the outbreak has led to the relaxation of some restrictions.
Trade restrictions on the export of processed products have been relaxed by many trade partners. Trade in safe commodities to direct neighbouring countries have largely been accepted.
Still ahead on eNews, residents of Townsville in Australia are being evacuated, this as floodwaters rise dangerously high.
And on the business front, the rand is slightly softer against major global currencies, and this is as it awaits that State of the Nation address on Thursday.
Let's talk money and business now with Rafiwe. Good evening to you, Rafiwe. Let's start in Cape Town. The mining in Indaba kicked off. Our Minerals Minister, Gwede Mantashe, was there. Was he making all the right noises for investors?
He was indeed making all the right noises, Sally, and he was in line with this year's change in the theme of the Indaba, where it's called the deal-making event of the year. So he was definitely in line with that theme, and investors are keen to see the policy certainty that needs to come through to boost South Africa's mining industry. He actually speaks about investing in the smaller mines in the country. There are a lot of coal mines that are mushrooming, that are not getting the right type of investment. And let's just hear what he has to say about that particular element of the industry.
If we increase and step up our investment, we can do more. For example, coal mining has created a number of new mining companies. We don't talk much about it, smaller mining companies. And every time Eskom complains that we don't have sufficient coal supply, they complain that why is there no sufficient coal supply when there's no uptake for our coal? And therefore, if that coal is used by Eskom, then growth of the contribution of the mining industry is possible.
President speaking at that Indaba tomorrow. It'll be very interesting to hear what he has to say as well. Our Minerals Minister talking about smaller coal mines. It leads us neatly on to Eskom and the public hearings into Eskom's request to have a 15% increase for the next 3 years each year. You're now saying they've upped their request, which I don't understand, because on Friday we heard that there was a massive loan facility granted to them. So surely they don't need as much money.
That's right, Sally. So today those hearings continue. They are set to end tomorrow. But they've now come back to say that their loss in this financial year is going to be about 20 billion rand, about 5 billion rand more than they anticipated. So now they're asking NERSA to consider a 17.1 tariff increase for the coming year, and then 15% for the next 2 years. So this is something, I mean, 15% has already got up in us in arms as taxpayers, but the 17% is quite steep, and they're going to need this if they're going to keep being operational and if they're going to climb out of that huge deficit that they're currently under at the moment. So Eskom is one to be watching closely as we continue to go forward, because this financial crisis that it's in is not going to go well unless it also gets that recapitalization that it has asked government to do.
Goalposts seem to keep moving there. Let's look at the markets today, Rafiwe.
Goalposts also continue to move in the markets, and the JSE closed in the red today, and it was a day of cautious trading as investors wait for President Donald Trump's State of the Union address tomorrow, as well as corporate news, which has much of the direction of the markets. Local gold miners faced its worst day, while the general retailers index lost almost 4%. Onto the commodities front now, Brent crude hit a 2-month high today, and this was based on fears of a slowdown in demand this year, but a new round of OPEC-led supply cuts last month may offer some reprieve. Meanwhile, the price of gold was lower, mainly on the back of a stronger dollar. Onto the local unit now, the rand traded slightly lower against global currencies as investors wait for that State of the Nation address that's going to be given by President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yeah, that's coming up this Thursday.
That's right.
Busy week. Thank you very
week.
much. We'll chat again to you tomorrow. Rafiwe Madzena there. Well, let's take a look at stories making international headlines now. In Australia, over 1,000 people have been evacuated from Townsville in the northeastern state of Queensland. This as floodwaters keep rising. Authorities opened floodgates on the Ross River Dam yesterday, but it is still at over 200% capacity. The area has seen over a metre of rain in the past week. Pope Francis has arrived in the United Arab Emirates. This makes him the first pontiff to set foot on the Arabian Peninsula. The Pope is hoping his historic trip will foster peace through religious dialogue. The visit has received positive feedback from media in neighbouring Saudi Arabia, where churches are banned. Muslim and Catholic officials have been quoted saying Saudi Arabia could also receive a papal visit in the future. Still ahead, we'll go to Candice, who's standing by at our weather centre. Hi there, Candice. And then
Merry Christmas! It's almost Easter.
The post office shows us the true definition of snail mail, with Christmas cards arriving just last week. Let's get your weather now with Candice McKechnie in Cape Town. Good evening to you, Candice. We've had quite a stormy Monday here in Johannesburg. Rest of the country similar?
Well, Sally, much of South Africa saw a very stormy weekend, but the storms today were confined to the northeastern part of South Africa. And here on our rain forecast, you'll see that the cloud and rainfall continues over parts of Mpumalanga and Limpopo overnight, all the way through to Tuesday morning, with quite a cloudy start to the day yet again. We're also expecting some morning fog along that eastern escarpment as a high pressure pushes in cloud and moisture over that part of the country, and that also results in a cooler day in the northeast. Then in the afternoon, we'll see those thunder showers flaring up again over the northeastern parts, with a sunny and hot day expected in the west. In fact, sizzling hot into Uppington at 38 degrees. Most of those maximum temperatures in the mid-30s in the afternoon, with fine and dry weather on Tuesday. We'll also see a sunny forecast for the Western Cape, 38 for Fredenal and Worcester, 30 for Cape Town, 25 for Hermanus as well as George. We move into some cloud as we head along the Eastern Cape coastline with a warm Tuesday afternoon, 31 for Adelaide and Aliwal North. A bit of light rain is forecast for Lundi and Richards Bay. Thunder showers are expected for Newcastle and Ladysmith, as well as into Mpumalanga, with a cooler day here in Makazeni and Ermelo, 22, with a chance of rain over the eastern part of the province. Cloudy weather settles in over Limpopo, with up to a 60% chance of thunderstorms on Tuesday. Polokwane and Zanin head into the mid-20s. A few isolated thunder showers are expected to pop up over the eastern part of northwest. Vryburg remains mostly clear and hot though at 36. 31 for Bloemfontein and Welkom. Harry Smith with a high of 25 and isolated thunder showers. You'll also see maximum temperatures in the mid-20s for much of Gauteng with isolated thunder showers. Pretoria warming up to 27. On Wednesday, thunder showers are expected mainly over the eastern interior, with a warm day along South Africa's coastline. Sunny and hot in the west all the way through to Thursday. Cape Town topping a toasty 37 degrees, with thunder showers in the northeast and rain along the east coast. That's all from the Weather Centre. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you so much, Candice McKechnie in Cape Town. And finally, how often do you post a letter? These days, emailing, scanning, WhatsApping are the quickest ways to get a message across. But over the festive season, 3 of our reporters tried good old-fashioned snail mail to send their Christmas wishes. The good news, the cards have arrived, just in time for Valentine's Day.
The 11th of December 2018, our reporters in Johannesburg, Durban and Cape Town excitedly posting Christmas cards to each other. Holding thumbs, it arrives before Santa. But the festive season came and went and still no joy. Fast forward to January 2019. Lo and behold, the first one arrives addressed to myself in Cape Town on the 10th of January.
Merry Christmas! It's almost Easter.
But it was still quite a wait. A full 7 weeks after posting their cards, Desan Tatia received his in Durban on the 22nd of January.
Merry Christmas indeed, and a Happy New Year.
And Silindelo Masikane on the 25th in Johannesburg.
Aw, thank you, Tanya. Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Post Office CEO Mark Barnes wasn't too pleased when asked about the delay, saying he had more pressing issues to deal with than cards delayed in the post. He then dropped the call.
Where is he?
So without a clear explanation, you do well to remember the early bird catches the worm. So perhaps November is your best bet to post those festive wishes.
But you didn't get here in time.
Tanya Neft, Cape Town.
I wonder who's the Grinch who stole Christmas. Let's recap your top stories for the evening. Hoërskool Driehoek pupils are not going to class, they're going to counselling. They're grieving for the 4 pupils who died last week when a walkway collapsed. 20 more injured are still in hospital. And as the inquiry into 2 top NPA bosses continues, General Johan Boysen says he was targeted because he was investigating the former president's son. From me and the team, enjoy your Monday evening. Good night.